as an open source hearted person, free and open source, I think that it was probably important to have a license like GPL for this space to be protected and viable at the beginning. And now we have a myriad of, not a myriad, but we have quite a few OSI approved open source licenses, and there are some that literally say that take it, do whatever you want, we don't care. More or less. So there's really a wide range. And I know that we talked about how like your perception of the GPL was at the beginning, and maybe the open source space altogether, and how law and lawyers in general were approaching open source, and at the beginning saying that maybe don't even touch it just because of that stickiness and viralness of the GPL. So how do you see law and the perception of lawyers have evolved since then? Is it like how the GPL cases came, we had more GPL cases, and how that evolved? Is this about the understanding of the license when it comes to how lawyers are approaching GPL and the free and open source space since the early days, or is it more about having more licenses and more options to pick from?
I think lawyers have been forced to become more comfortable with free and open source licenses, including the GPL. Partly, that's just better understanding of what it is. And yes, there are probably now more licenses for them to choose from. But I also think this is a case where free and open source software won the fight on a practical level by creating an environment in which so much of the best software was being developed in this way, to the point where nobody could ignore it anymore. And so, when the big software developers realize that they are getting out-developed by what to them seemed like ragtag teams of volunteers, they have to, stop fighting them and join them. At that point, then lawyers have to change their minds, because now their clients have had a change of heart, and learn to get comfortable with this. Now, I'm a relatively new to the community, and there's probably there's going to be other folks in the community who actually were there during this transition, who will have a lot more insight about how this came about. But that's the way it seems to me to have come about. I think it was not lawyer driven; it was client driven.
So it's kind of the business and the
I think the practical success of this software development model, to the point where nobody could ignore it anymore.
That, and also, I mean, in business sense, a lot of companies, in my experience, still look at it as, oh, it's free. Like, I can just take it and I don't have to pay for it. It's free. And especially with licenses like the Apache 2.0 license, which is more permissive than permissive,
Yeah.
just simply permissive. It's really easy to just grab it, do whatever they want, and then they usually dig themselves into a hole because they do all the modifications downstream, they don't upstream those, and then they deviate from the upstream version, and then it becomes unmaintainable. So they do pay a big price for that, and then the maintenance costs, they still have to pay for that.
Oh yeah, I used to do a lot of I used to represent a lot of enterprise software companies, and the maintenance is where they get you.
It really is. Yeah. And y'all who are watching and listening, if even the lawyer says that the maintenance that gets you, then you better believe
stop paying the maintenance, and then our client would be able to yank the license. It's just nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not what I want to do with my life. I'll just
No.
say.
No, but no one really is. But again, business kind of dictates in terms of the adoption of open source is partially, just partially, not fully, but somewhat driven by the fact that it's so accessible and it comes for free at the beginning. But then again, if you have bad practices, then it's gonna cost you way more down the road than if you paid for software at the beginning. But that's a story for another day.